All right, are we ready to go?
We are. Hello,
Okay.
everyone. I'll do a quick introduction.
Awesome.
Great. Welcome to our Hangout on Air for the EdTech Team Online Teacher Leader Cohort for our assessment course and also for our flipped and blended learning course. I'm Tracy Purdy, excited to have you guys with us. If you guys have any questions during this event, you can tweet them out using the EdTech Team Online hashtag, or you can post them in the side chat of the YouTube live event. So introduce yourself and welcome. And today we're going to talk about a tool called Spiral. And we have Hamish here with us, who is from Spiral. And we also have Maggie Phillips, she's from PowerUp EDU. And she's going to do a demo of how to use Spiral for us. And we also have Jerry from PowerUp EDU. So Hamish, do you want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, hi everybody, and thanks for joining. I'm Hamish. I'm the founder of Spiral. We founded Spiral a few years ago because we felt as though that students in class were not engaging in the lessons and engaging with the teacher. And so we decided to build a set of tools that enabled students to actively learn with their devices in a classroom and for teachers to be able to carry out quality formative assessments. A couple of years ago, after we had been released for about a year, Common Sense Education, as you might know, is the most respected review foundation for apps in education, set up by Bill and Melinda Gates, voted Spiral as the best teacher tool in the USA 2017. They summarize Spiral as an easy, engaging to use tool that supports both formative and summative assessments while allowing for student collaboration. And hopefully today, we're going to show you how that works by you actively being able to use Spiral during this session. Spiral is just a platform that you can use any resource, from videos to presentations to quizzes to teamwork, for any grade and for any language around the world. It's a very versatile and flexible platform. And again, hopefully today we'll show you how flexible it can be. As Tracy said, I'm joined here by Maggie, who is a former instructional technologist from Cobb County in Georgia, and is a great advocate of Spiral. And Maggie is going to run a live session, and so you can experience at first hand what Spiral does as a student. And so what I need you guys to do is I want you to grab your device or in your own computer to open up an incognito window and put that in a little minimized frame, or to use your phone and to log on. And we'll show you how to do that in a minute. I just want you just for the moment to be able to grab your device and just be aware that that's going to make it a session that we can all join in. And you'll see other teachers who are on the call, their responses during the activities we're going to run. So with no further ado, I'm going to ask Maggie to share her screen and to get going with the first activity.
Okay. So are you all seeing my screen, Hamish?
Yeah, I can.
Awesome. Okay, great. So I'm super excited to share Spiral with you all today. As Hamish was saying, it's a super flexible platform that we can use to get a really good picture of student learning and understanding. Across the top, you're going to notice that there are 5 sections, and these are the 5 primary tools within Spiral, and that's Quickfire Lite, Quickfire, Discuss, Team Up, and then Clip. And in this webinar, we're going to explore each of these platforms that can be used to support balanced assessment in the classroom. And we are going to start with Quickfire Lite. So Quickfire Lite is a quick and easy way to administer classroom assessments. And with Quickfire Lite, the teacher asks a question verbally, and then the students are going to respond on their personal devices. So this is going to allow a teacher to do that on-the-fly assessment without a lot of advanced planning, but to really get a pulse on student learning and understanding that's going to go beyond a show of hands. So let's dive into a Quickfire Lite, and so you get the experience of the students. So as Hamish mentioned, if you will open up an incognito browser or use a mobile device to navigate to gospiral.ac. Again, that's going to be gospiral.ac. You'll see it here on the screen, gospiral.ac. And when asked for a join code, you're going to use the code on the screen, which is TASZM. So give you just a moment to get logged in. Again, if you've got that browser open and you're not seeing our screen right now, it's gospiral.ac, and the join code is TASZM. Let's see, Tracy's joined, Hamish has joined. We've got Molly with us. Notice that on the teacher end, on this perspective, it's allowing me to see which students have logged in.
One thing too, Maggie, I didn't realize that once I put the code in, then I had to click the green button that said join for my name to show up there.
Awesome. Yeah, so make sure you click join at the top once you enter your name. Thank you for that, Tracy.
Okay, all right. While you're logging on, Spiral can be used on any browser. It can be used on Chromebooks, can be used on any Apple device, and also on phones. It's better to be used on a desktop. Some of the activities require quite a few students to log on at the same time, and so on phones that can slightly be crowded. But it's not impossible to use at all on a phone. You also can use Spiral for assignments as well as a live class activity, and we'll show you that option a bit later. I bet which activities that you can extend beyond the classroom, post for students at home, and for those students to be able to complete work, and then for you to review it as a flipped experience the next day.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
yeah, so thank you guys so much. It seems like we've got some people that have joined us now. And so to illustrate how Quickfire works, Quickfire Lite works, I'm just going to select Go here, and I'm just going to verbally ask a very simple question. And that question is to name an ocean, or what is an ocean? Give me an example of an ocean. I've clicked Go, and now you all have the opportunity to answer. Again, just submit the name of an ocean. What you're going to notice on my teacher perspective dashboard is that I'm seeing the answers coming in. Once I see that every student has responded, then I can reveal the answers that are anonymous, so the students are going to feel safe in answering. So just giving you another second to submit the name of an ocean. Notice again, as they're coming in, it says answer is hidden. So it's going to prevent students from seeing each other's answers. I can then click on reveal answers here at the top to see the answers that have been submitted. As you can see, Spiral can group answers so that the teacher can spot trends, misconceptions, and adapt teaching at the time of learning. So the color frames around the responses help the teacher quickly identify the trends. You're also going to see that there is an improve button that can be used to scaffold questions as the lesson progresses, or in this case, ask the students to name another ocean so the teacher can build on that core concept. I can also randomly select a student to elaborate by asking them to expand upon their answer. So this allows students that are typically reluctant to engage and verbally explain the process that they arrived at to solve the problem. I can also correct answers automatically and provide that feedback to students. Students are notified on their device of their contribution and effort. So simply click correct. It's going to mark it correct. You receive that feedback. And notice once I select correct on Pacific here, it is going to collect correct here because these are grouped together because they are the same answer. So again, that quick visual perception of where students are trending in answer responses. So I also then, after giving an assessment here, Quickfire assessment, providing those verbal questions, I might want to ask students to provide more information about how they feel about that question or the content that I'm asking about. So I can ask students to provide some feedback about how they feel about their learning and understanding as relates to this topic. So when I click on Exit Ticket, you're going to notice that you are given a question to provide some feedback about how you feel about that question. Okay. It's been proven that enabling all students to actively participate in this verbal Q&A and for the students to have the opportunity to provide that feedback is a key driver in improving student learning. So this quickfire light allows teachers to deliver an exit ticket and to get that feedback and to decide how to proceed with the learning process. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this quickfire, super quick and easy to administer. And when we finish it, I'm going to receive this dashboard that provides a really visual representation of how the students performed on the assessment. Notice it goes over the questions, the responses received, and the overall performance. If I drill down a little farther towards the bottom, I see it's listed by question, so I can see how each student responded to the question. I can look at it in a different way of listing it by student and looking at each student individually. And I can also pull up a grades table, which again sorts the data in a little bit of a different way. So depending on how you're using that data to move forward and to drive your instruction will depend on which way is the best to look at it for you. You can also print your data, export it, duplicate it, or delete it should you want to do that. So this is a kind of an ad hoc activity, just an on-the-fly assessment that represents kind of the core principles of Spiral that are displayed in the other more planned activities. So we're going to move forward with exploring more of the tools within Spiral. So next up, so thinking as a teacher, I want to provide students with a more structured classroom experience to gauge their knowledge, but to also promote some active learning and formative assessment so I can make sure that the lesson that I've developed is at that right level. So one of the tools that I can use is called Quickfire. And throughout this lesson, throughout a lesson, you can administer quickfires to get a pulse on how students are understanding at that point in the lesson. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly launch Quickfire. From a teacher perspective, notice it asks you to title your lesson. I'm just going to type in multiplication right here and give this a quick setup. Notice that you can pose the question and then you get to select how you want your students to respond. So I can have an open-ended question, a closed-ended question where there's selected response items, a poll, multiple choice, a canvas which allows your students to respond by drawing and annotating on a blank canvas. There's annotation, which allows students to annotate over an image. And there's also audio, which allows students to record their answers verbally. We know that's a really powerful way for students to articulate their understanding. Because there are so many different ways to respond to a quickfire assessment, this is a tool that can be used for students of all ages and abilities. It does provide so many opportunities for them to respond in diverse ways that it allows a very different and comprehensive picture of student learning. So that's Quickfire. Again, Quickfire Lite's going to be that verbal on-the-fly assessment that you're just asking and students are responding to. Whereas Quickfire is going to be a little more planned out, where you plan the questions ahead of time and decide what format you would like students to answer with. Okay, so that's Quickfire. And up next, we're going to look at Discuss. So as teachers, we know that presentations are a really powerful way to share knowledge and visuals with students, whether it's pictures and text or other features that we can put into a digital presentation. So Discuss is kind of a platform that's going to really enhance that presentation experience and take it to the next level. Discuss enables a teacher to engage with the students and to solicit questions and discussions within a single slide deck. So basically, teachers can import a slideshow, whether it's PowerPoint or Google Slides, that they've already created, or they can create within the Spiral platform a presentation. And they simply add discussion questions or assessment questions to engage their students. With Discuss, students can also use this to take notes and to save notes alongside the teacher's experience. So I think the best way to learn about Discuss and to understand it is for us to go through a Discuss experience. So I'm going to launch Discuss for you all. You're going to access this activity by clicking on your name or classes at the top of your spiral screen to see the next activity. So you're going to click on Discuss to join it once you click on your name or the classes.
Yeah, so if you just click on your name, you'll see a little tab that says Classes underneath. Click on that, and then you can then rejoin the activity. You'll see a little blue box with Join Activity again, and off you go.
Welcome, Molly and Tracy and Hamish, we're back. We've got Lauren joining us again as a teacher. I've got this display in front of me letting me know which students are ready to go to proceed. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and select Go, and it's going to begin presenting my slide deck. You'll notice that over to the side, you have a space where you can take notes. And as I demonstrate, I've got this slideshow, and as I come to a slide that has a discussion question, a slide that triggers that class discussion, nice update time. Once I come to a slide that's going to trigger that discussion, it's going to ask you to contribute. So you'll notice that you have a question now over to the right, which is which of the platforms that we've talked about so far are most useful to you? And if you'll submit your answers in that box to the right, from the teacher perspective, which I'm displaying on my screen, you'll notice the box at the bottom, which is indicating contributions of the students. So right now I know I have 5 students in our group, and at this time we have 2 submissions. Allows me to kind of keep track of where students are and how they've answered. Okay, give just another second or two to finish that up.
The one thing you'll notice as well is once you submit your answer is if you scroll down a bit, you'll see other students' responses as well, comments. And after if you click on a response, you can then respond to the other students. And because it's anonymous, then you don't know who you're responding to. You're just unless actually no, she's put in the option to actually see the name in this case. So you can see a trail of comments throughout once you've submitted your own answer.
Okay, and as Hamish was saying, we found that peer affirmation is really a great driver for inclusion in the classroom. So it gives students a voice, and especially for students that wouldn't typically feel comfortable expressing an answer verbally, it really gives them a voice and an opportunity to share their thinking. Again, from that teacher perspective, I can click on Reveal Answers here at the bottom or in this green box at the top. And when I reveal answers, I can see how students have responded, and then I can further see the comments that have been provided to that student. I can expand to further elaborate answers. I can mark them as correct, or using the improve button, I can ask them to improve their answer. So again, this allows me to have a really good perspective of what students initially answered in that discussion piece, and then to see the following comments that have kind of evolved from that conversation. Again, it allows students to interact in ways that they probably would not otherwise do so. Notice too, from this teacher perspective, that it is displaying these anonymously. So if I'm, got this displayed in front of a group of students, I, would not want to show those answers, show names. But as a teacher, I do have the option to show names to identify who said what, and to kind of get an idea of that. I also have the opportunity to set a timer to provide those timing parameters for students to keep them on track and on task. And I can also lock devices, which will pause this experience for students. And just like we looked at with Quickfire Lite, I can administer an exit ticket on this question so students can provide that feedback in other ways. As long as you've got your question and you'd like to keep going, when you click the next button, it allows students to progress to that next slide and things. Again, notice that from that student end, you have the opportunity to submit notes for your answers or to your discussion questions, or if you just want to take notes along the way, that section is provided to you on the right.
Maggie, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So I'm wondering, it looks like this is a PowerPoint presentation. Can you also use the Google Slides presentation?
Yes, and Hamish, I'm going to defer to you on that one.
Yeah, so you can import Google Slides directly into Discuss, as well as PowerPoint slides as well. In fact, you can also import PDFs as well, and it kind of converts them into a PowerPoint as well. There's just one other feature, Maggie, that if you move back to the to that screen, I just wanted to highlight.
Which screen?
This screen, yeah. So there's one other button now which is called Teacher Led. If you click that, if one clicks that button, it then converts a teacher led exercise to a student led. So sometimes the teacher will want the students to go through a series of slides, which could be a series of exercises, and that allows the students to, at their own pace, to go through the slides themselves, make comments, answer questions, whatever the slide deck's doing, and then to submit their responses. And at any stage, the teacher can switch that back to a teacher-led and review any responses from the students as she would do on the review slide on when they reveal answers. So it just changes it from a teacher-led pace to a student-led pace activity.
Awesome. What happens if you have a video in one of the slides? Can you still play the video?
Yes, that's correct. So you can you can switch it over from teacher-led, which is the teacher showing the video on the whiteboard, to the videos being shown on the student devices. And again, they can watch the video at their own pace, which will pause with questions for them to answer. And then the student, all the answers are gathered together, and the teacher can then review all the answers with the teacher. So that can either be a classroom assignment, or in most cases, this is a home-based assignment.
Great.
So again, kind of reiterating that the power of not having to create something new, you can leverage what you've already got with the Discuss feature by uploading a presentation that you've already created. So you simply then would go in and add those discussion questions to amplify the experience for students and to really expand on it and take it to that next level. And then again, the ability to have that student-led doesn't have to be so teacher-driven and can allow that asynchronous learning as well. So two really, really powerful features of that Discuss platform. I did want to point out too, when I finish Discuss, I do have the opportunity to extend it, which will allow students to continue working at their own pace. So maybe we didn't have time to finish it. Maybe there's still more we'd like to do. But once I do finish Discuss, again, from that teacher perspective, I get this really image-friendly perspective of student learning data where I see the questions, the responses received, and had I marked them correct, the overall performance. A lot of times in classrooms, when we're doing those classroom discussions, it's really challenging to get a pulse on what each kid is saying verbally. So with Discuss, I can really go back in and I can see how students answered initially, but I can also see how they contributed to the discussion. So we know that pulls in a lot of those listening standards and pulls in a cross-curricular alignment of standards because they are interacting and they are engaging in that format. So again, I can see what each student contributed. I can see the comments that were provided by the question. I can drill down by student, and I can see that, again, that grade table that provides me that perspective of it. Again, just like with Quickfire Lite, I can print, I can export, or I can duplicate my data, or again, should I want to delete it, I have that option as well. So again, that's the Discuss platform. It really amplifies the PowerPoint, or the Google Slides, but the presentation experience for students. Okay. Another platform within Spiral is called TeamUp. And TeamUp is incredibly unique, and this is often one that teachers see and love and can't wait to use. We know as teachers in classrooms today that teamwork is just a critical component of collaborative learning. We know that students are often asked to collaborate on projects and experiences, and TeamUp is just a platform that can be used to enhance that. So we've designed this app that lets every student contribute a team activity with their own ideas that has equal weight in a team's effort. So as a teacher, I typically find that when I assign a group work assignment or a project to be completed collaboratively, there's that one student that's super dominant within a group, that is going to contribute a lot, and you have other students who maybe take a more passive role, or maybe students that don't engage quite as much because they know that the other students will kind of take the lead with it. So Team Up is going to allow each student to contribute to a group assignment or activity. And as a teacher with Team Up, I can constantly monitor each student's contribution and then allow each student to express their own ideas. So with Team Up, every student has a voice in a group presentation. Again, it is going to allow a teacher to create teams of students on connected devices and to assign them a project or activity to complete where they're going to be developing a digital presentation. And with Team Up, each member of the group, every single student, is required to contribute to that presentation. So this ensures that all students are going to actively contribute to a culminating project. Once all students have contributed their part to the presentation, it can mark it as complete. And then the students, as a group, have the opportunity to take control of a whiteboard from their devices and to present their presentation. So on the screenshots here on the slide, you see that there are, in this case, 4 teams of different students. They've each been given a task, and they have the opportunity to contribute. Each student contributes, and the teacher can monitor the contributions of each student along the way, and the group cannot complete their project or mark it as complete until every student has contributed their response. So really powerful way to ensure that all students are engaging in that learning experience, all students are contributing to a group work assignment, and then that accountability piece from the teacher perspective of being able to look in to each group to kind of have a window into the work happening in each group to see how they're performing and how they're contributing individually to the overall project. So we see Team Up as being a really unique platform within Spiral, and kind of offers a tool that we're not seeing in a lot of other places. So again, a great way to give each student a voice and to allow each student to contribute to a group work assignment, whether they're that assertive student or whether they're a more passive student, they get to contribute equally to a Team Up assignment. Okay. All right, and we also have this platform I wanted to talk about as well called Clip. And as teachers, we know that video plays a crucial role in the classroom, and no matter how it's used, Clip allows teachers to amplify video learning in the classroom. With Clip, essentially you take any open source video that you're using, whether it's on YouTube or Vimeo, and really engage your students on a different level. It's not just simply showing students the video, it's presenting the video to students and then allowing them to engage on a totally different level than just simply passively watching it. So with Clip, you can turn any video into a live chat with questions or quizzes. And essentially all the teacher does is imports a video from YouTube or another source and adds questions. So I'm going to show you, we all know Schoolhouse Rock. It's very nostalgic and brings back probably a lot of classroom memories. So what you do with Clip is you simply title your activity. I've got a Schoolhouse Rock video here, Interplanet Janet. That may be jogging some of your memories along the way. And once you add the video from that open source, whatever you choose, you can watch it and select a time point at which you would like to add the question. So in this case, I'm going to say at 30 seconds in, I'd like to add a question. Simply come over here to the right, select Add Question. I type in the question, and then I'm also providing a time limit in seconds, or a time in seconds. So at this point, I'm at the 30-second mark for the question. If I wanted to change that, again, it just moves it on my bar here at the bottom. I pose the question here. This would be an open-ended question, which would allow students those free-form responses. I can also insert a quiz question, which will allow that correct or incorrect response. I can import or add a polling question, which is going to be to solicit that less formalized feedback. And you can also have the discussion, which keeps students on topic by setting that discussion theme and allows them to chat in a feed that's a little more focused. So you can add as many questions as you want, and you can add as many different types of questions as you want as you go through the video. So you simply ask the question, what have you learned at this point? And you save that question And as students are watching the video, when they arrive at that point, the question will display on their devices for them to respond to. So that's CLIP. Again, once you have inserted your questions, you can save it and administer it at a later time. Or you can save it and teach it at this moment, or you can exit without saving any of your changes. So again, that's CLIP. And that allows you to really amplify video learning in the classroom and to engage students on a deeper level than just that sit and get video experience. So kind of as we've covered in this, there are 4 key platforms within Spiral, really 5 if you look at Quickfire Lite, that allow students to share their learning in a lot of different ways. And for you as a teacher to get a pulse on students, what they are, where they are, what they know, what they're able to do, and that really balanced component of assessment of looking at student learning data in a lot of different formats and a lot of different ways. So just to kind of recap, we had Quickfire Lite that we started with. And Quickfire Lite is that verbal on-the-fly assessment. The teacher poses a question verbally and the students respond on their devices. We have Quickfire, which is a little more planned out, which allows the teacher to ask questions of students in a lot of different ways, whether it's an audio recording response, whether it's drawing on a canvas or annotating on an image to show labeling. Quickfire just really provides a robust diversity in formatting for answering questions in the classroom. So really, really powerful way to get a quick gauge on student learning. We have Team Up, which is designed for those group projects where students each have an equal contribution to the end product, where each student has the opportunity to contribute, and teachers can kind of keep a pulse on how students are contributing and to ensure that every student is progressing in the process. We also have Discuss, which takes the presentations that you've already created or a presentation that you would like to make within Spiral and allows you to embed discussion questions that ignite conversation in the classroom that goes beyond that verbal response. And again, we see Discuss being really powerful because it gives students a voice when they would not otherwise be comfortable to say something. It also takes the presentation learning experience to that next level by really cultivating engagement and allowing students to interact with each other on a really focused content and presentation content. And last but not least is Clip, which we looked at, that turns basically any public video into a live chat where you can post questions that are open-ended or closed-ended. You can solicit information from a poll, or you can deliver a quiz to really drive forward that experience for video learning. And again, with that, you can use any open source video that you find online and simply import it. It takes no time at all, hardly, to get your video into Clip. So we see Spiral as having these tools within it that save you from going to 5 different websites to fully assess students. We look at balanced assessment. We know there's a lot of ways that we're collecting data on students. But instead of going to many different tools, many different resources, many different websites, to get a pulse on it, with Spiral, you can go to one website and access 4 different platforms that really provide a comprehensive picture of student learning. So we think it's a really, really powerful way for a teacher to find out where her students are and what they're able to do, and to use that data, most importantly, to drive forward with instruction and to use data to drive instruction, which we know is the ultimate goal in assessing student learning.
Maggie, I love it. It's so great to have all these tools in one place. When I came across Spiral, that was the thing that I was so excited about, that I wasn't going to 10 different websites. Everything is right there. There are so many different ways for the students to respond. One of the things that I also loved about it is that it does connect to Google Classroom, so that if I have my classes already set in Google Classroom, that I can import my students from Google Classroom. So anytime there's that connection and making my life easier, I am very happy.
Who doesn't love that, right? And absolutely, that ease of use. And you see that as well in things like Discuss, where you can pull in the things that you've already worked towards, whether it's a PowerPoint presentation or a Google Slides presentation or maybe a PDF. You don't have to create something new. You can really pull in the work that you've already done.
Yep. And as we start thinking about our flipped and blended unit that starts next week, I love the fact that you could do this live with your class. all doing it at the same time, but then you can also assign it to them and they can work through that presentation on their own and answer questions, or that video on their own, or that quick fire. So I think that make a powerful tool in the classroom as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we really appreciate the opportunity to have shared Spiral with you all today, and welcome any questions or feedback that you all have on this platform or how to move forward with using it. Would love to share any of that with you guys. So definitely feel free to reach out. Tracy, if there's anything that we can do to further share the Spiral love, we would love to do that.
Perfect. I think the one question that we have coming in, so Spiral is mostly free. Is that correct? Is there any, do you have to pay for Spiral at all?
Okay, clear answer to that is, so Spiral is free for 2 months to allow you to really explore it and test it with your students and see whether you get the value out of it. After that point, we have Quickfire Lite, which is still free. And the rest of the apps are for, and the whole platform is for a teacher, is $5 a month, but that's unlimited classrooms, unlimited storage, unlimited usage through for a year-long contract. But you can at any time during that time is quit your $5 a month contract and then reestablish it later on. Maybe if you're on holidays or you want to come back to school and you want to pause it for a few months. But we're quite easy with that. We've priced it, we think, well below other tools that only have one particular application. We do realize that a lot of the teachers and schools that use Spiral are from sometimes districts that are sometimes socioeconomically challenged. And the last thing that teachers want to do in those is spend a huge amount on these classroom tools. So we hope we've priced it much below the competition and a fair price that schools can afford that don't have huge budgets to spend on software.
It's 1 cup of coffee a month.
That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah. So if you can forego that 1 cup of coffee that one day. But well, good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I think that this is going to be a tool that our teacher leader cohort is going to be very excited about. So if there are any questions, hopefully you'll be okay if they tweet them out to @SpiralEducation. And if there's anything else, I'll send it your way as well. So thank you so much, Maggie, Jerry, and Hamish for joining us and sharing all about Spiral. And everybody who is watching, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you online soon.
Thanks very much, Tracy.
Thank you, guys.
Good evening.